All right, I think everyone looks like they're here. I'm going to share this poll with everyone now. Close, share that. Okay, so our poll question today is, how are you currently managing your customers? 48% of you said that you were using some PSA software, which is good. Hopefully you'll even learn some more here from Len. 37% with accounting software, 9% with a spreadsheet, 2% are still using paper and pencil, and 4% of you said you had no customers to manage. How do you, what's your take on that, Len?
Well, I can only imagine that they're sitting on this webinar right now, Scott, to learn how to grow their business. That's what I would imagine.
Excellent. So with me is Len DiCostanzo. He's the Senior Vice President of Business Development Community at Autotask. What I'm going to do now is I've just made you the presenter, Len. Len has a slide deck that he's going to be taking you through. Before we get started, let me go ahead and do some housekeeping chores. Is that we are recording this webinar. It will be available as a download in a couple days after the webinar. I'll usually try to get it done by Friday, but if not Friday, on Monday. You'll get an email from the GoToMeeting software with the link where you can download this and the slide deck and any other information that we come up with during the course of the webinar. Feel free to ask questions of Len. You'll see your chat interface. If you just type in your chat a question there in your chat box, I'll get it, and then we'll pass them all on to Len, and we'll have a short little conversation. So we're, the more questions you ask, the more interactive this is, and hopefully the more you get out of it. So Len, without further ado, will you go ahead and take it away, sir?
Sure. Hey, thanks, Scott. I'm just making sure you can see my screen. Everything looks good on your end?
Yep, I can see it. Everything looks good, and I'm sure we'll get lots of chat requests if there's nothing, so no complaints yet.
Very good. So thanks for having me. Again, my name is Len DiCostanzo, Senior Vice President of Community and Business Development here at Autotask. That gives me the enviable opportunity to work directly with our 5,000 plus IT service providers and MSPs around the globe, and also our wonderful vendor partners like GFI Max and getting our products to work together. So today we're going to talk about managing your managed service business, and for those of you that maybe are moving more towards managed service, maybe you're new to GFI, hopefully 48% of you that are using a PSA are all Autotask users, but if not, certainly I'm going to try to share some tips on how you might use your PSA to manage your managed service business and integrate and combine with GFI Max and what they bring to the table. So what I'll start out with is 10 hurdles to managing growth and profitability in your managed service business, and then begin to help you jump over those hurdles and share a little bit about how Autotask integrates across your IT business processes with the various modules, features, and functions contained in our product. And then I'll focus a little bit on service desk automation and process optimization, and that's where the rubber meets the road, and Autotask and GFI help you to scale service delivery and really touch a lot of your clients with not as much effort as if you were working in that break-fix model. I'll share why Autotask can and should be your partner and talk a little bit about ROI when you're looking at a PSA like Autotask as part of your solution set, and give you a couple of ways to reach out and contact Autotask. So what you see here are 5 out of the 10 hurdles to managing profitability and growth. We are constantly conducting surveys not only with our customers but with folks that are looking to be our customer at various trade shows and places that Autotask is hanging out. And what you see right here are 5 that I know a little bit. Actually, real quick background on myself. I was a solution writer for 20 years and actually built a managed service practice around the 1997 time frame. And I used to drag my engineers into the conference room and kind of kneel down on some pillows and pray for things to break so we can go on out and bill our time and make some money. And then after getting a little tired of that, just kind of figured out how to present a recurring service deliverable. We didn't have tools like GFI Max back in the day. It's kind of archaic in this industry, but at the end of the day, we were putting about $250,000 in recurring revenue on the street first of the month. And one of the things that we did have was a lot of mission-critical data locked in different applications. We had a lot more cost in our model back then in the managed service model, and a lot of disconnect between sales and service because apps were separate and distinct. And I think one of the things that always happens is your service issues are falling through the cracks, not only as a result of your systems, but perhaps as part of your process, and perhaps even educating the team on how they should work through service issues such as incident management, for example, not necessarily just walking into a site and helping somebody who asks you to help them, but go and fix the issue you're there to fix, and then open up a ticket and help that other person, and service issues aren't falling through the cracks. So a lot of issues to managing profitability and growth. Difficulty tracking time for service has rendered, certainly one of the key issues that's been around since, I guess, professional services were being delivered. Another 5 hurdles: unbalanced workload across resources. Perhaps you got 1 or 2 or, several good engineers, or ones that will take on a lot of work, but maybe you're burning them out. Maybe you're not really able to manage those resources that you have. Maybe you're promising a response window, but you can't really track it. And how are you going to go out there and promise an SLA and deliver against it? Billing is complex and takes too long. I know for me, I used to come in on perhaps a Saturday and a Sunday once or twice a month just to make sure I can get my billing out. And it was just because it was complex and, again, multiple systems. Profitability, always difficult to gauge back in the day, and even now, especially since a lot of you guys are using, not a lot, but a couple are using pen and pencil to manage the business. And I think profitability is why we're in here doing what we do. And profitability across clients and contracts is very key, as opposed to just waiting for that profit and loss statement, maybe quarterly, or if you're lucky enough to do it monthly. And ultimately, customers not seeing your value. And even I could certainly recall conversations walking in where a client will go, gee, you're still here. And I'm like, well, your accounting department's still here, your sales department is still here, I'm your IT department, and why should I go anywhere? But the ultimate bottom line is, maybe I hadn't shown my value enough, so they don't appreciate it. And we'll try to tackle some of that, because with these 10 hurdles, you're ultimately forced to guess most of the time because you don't have facts. And one of the things that we like to say here at Autotask is, fact-based decision-making really gives you a leg up on the competition, and that's what we try to do here, and certainly what we try to give our customers, our users, the opportunity to do. So let's take a look and see how Autotask can help you begin to get over those hurdles and really help you scale your managed service business and manage it to perfection. And one of the things that I always kind of get a little concerned with, I don't necessarily like to say, I never like to say I was an MSP. I always really like to say I was an IT service provider with a managed service practice. And that's because when you're out there singing for your supper and having to pay your bills and pay your employees, you are really, you're out there trying to sell new clients every day. So you have to have a sales process in place to help you build your business, to help you not only manage your managed service business, but to launch a business off the ground. If you're not selling, you're not having any clients. And 2% said they didn't have any clients. So right here, an MSP, an IT service provider, you have to sell. And this is where Autotask really begins to help you run the business better. We really look to help you out of the gate, what I like to call here, across the 4 critical stages to securing clients for life. And it all starts at the sales process, where Autotask's built-in CRM gives you that opportunity to track all your accounts and contacts, whether they're clients already, whether they're prospects or leads, or even your vendor partners. Just track them all in a CRM that seamlessly manages or integrates with a quoting tool. And now you can actually quote your products and services, build your pipeline, and manage your pipeline. And in fact, the CRM is connected to our project module, where the sales and engineering components of your business can actually collaborate on a project that the sales team is looking to sell, but the project team can build out a project template, cost out that project, and the rep can attach that project to a quote, and in fact turn that quote into an active project using our Win Opportunity Wizard, and take all the information out of, one second. Sorry, guys, I was hearing an echo here. Yeah, I was hearing a little echo. Looks like somebody here in Autotask had this webinar on speaker mode, and it was like, I was hearing myself talk, and I sound a little weird.
Okay, carry on.
But But here you have, guys, now you've quoted that sales and project team have spoken. Now you've got that project. And the second critical stage, once you've started to build trust in the sales process that you understand your client's needs and you're going to recommend a solution or two, you now have to go implement that solution. So we're in critical stage number 2, where you're trying to secure this client for life. You don't just want to win a project. You want to execute this project on time and on budget. And the key is to have a nice solution that not only lets you manage the project, but seamlessly takes that data from CRM and moves it into the project module, allows you to collect time and expense against your phases and tasks, and get an invoice out on the street a heck of a lot quicker than if you didn't have an integrated solution. And then once you've completed that second critical stage, you've completed that project, you've been very successful at it, you did what you said, now they're going to let you move into that support role. And not only do you have to support that solution, but hopefully you're going to pick up the entire environment of this client. If they're a small, medium business, they don't have an internal IT or an enterprise IT team, you're now delivering the support, and that's where the Autotask Service Desk module comes into play. Again, seamlessly taking data from the CRM, from the contract module built inside of Autotask, and now you're able to take those phone calls, take those alerts that come from GFI in a couple of different ways. You can open a ticket and begin to manage the support role that you have with your client base and continue to build trust in that third critical stage of providing support, and clearly continuing to earn trust by your showing your competency and doing what you say you're going to do against your SLA. And again, always collecting time and expense to send out a bill. And whether you're sending out a flat fee monthly bill under a managed service agreement, you still have to collect time, understand your profitability against that flat fee contract, and hopefully you've built in a price increase into your contract so that, again, you can kind of raise your price if you see that that client's a little bit more demanding. But bottom line is you've got to have a key solution in place to manage that relationship, and the Autotask Service Desk gives you that opportunity. And now you're in that fourth critical stage where you've been delivering your support, and as a good managed service provider or a good IT service provider with a managed service practice, you're holding your monthly operational review meetings. I like to call them more meetings, MOR. You're out there telling them what you did last month, you did what you said, you're going to do it again next month. And by the way, I call it a more meeting, monthly operational review, because you're going to try to get more work because you've been doing a great job, and you're going to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the business, and ultimately holding a quarterly business review as well, so that by the end of the year, whatever the fiscal year may be, you're producing recommendations for next year's business technology plan for your client, and in fact delivering not only their recommended solutions and their technology budget, but in fact building your own revenue forecast for next year. And really that's the key. You're building trust over 4 critical stages to secure this client for life. You're becoming that trusted advisor, hopefully the IT department in the small to medium business, and yet at the same time, if they're a larger account with an enterprise IT, you're in there supplementing or augmenting that enterprise IT and still being the trusted advisor in the areas that you're being relied on. And Autotask has a client portal that can use built-in reporting that can be scheduled to deliver reports not only to your client, but internal-facing reports for you to read, built-in surveys and knowledge base. And all of these solutions really give you that opportunity to manage and grow your business with this client across 4 critical stages that go on. And more importantly, the mission-critical data flow that we talked about earlier, those disconnected applications, the disconnect between sales and service, all go away because mission-critical data flow goes through the sales process and the project management process into the service desk, into that ongoing relationship. And as you see here, Autotask helps you generate revenue across those critical stages and helps you secure the client for life. And the key is automating the client life cycle. So a little bit deeper into it, it does start with marketing and communications. You want your PSA to be able to help you get there, and Autotask can help you get there with a group email communication tool that's built into Autotask, whether you use text or HTML. You can build really cool graphics, a newsletter perhaps, a service update. You've added a new managed service. You put in a new GFI Max product into your suite of offerings. and build that communication out, merge fields into your CRM, and schedule that email out. Not only do you schedule the email out, but it goes out, adds a to-do and to the sales rep to follow up, adds a note into the account, and puts all the information into the CRM so that now as a rep is working using our CRM, they can easily, through the CRM dashboard, get a view of what's going on in their territory, or if you're the manager, you can see what's going on in the global area that you're covering or managing, and take all the sales alerts, one click, take a look at what's going on in your account. You are managing, obviously, sales opportunities. You're going to set to-dos and follow up, but there's going to be things that pop up, such as, perhaps an opportunity that hasn't been touched for a while. More importantly, a quick look at your quota targets. Inside your PSA, inside your Autotask, you can set quotas, and as you run the Win Opportunity Wizard, those numbers in the deals that you're winning are going to fill up these buckets and hopefully turn those reds into some greens, and actually yellows into greens as you approach your quota. And more importantly, metrics. Sales is all about metrics. It's all about numbers. How many calls you're making, how many visits you're making. You can configure call metrics and then execute, and of course, here off the CRM dashboard, see if you're actually doing the 20 calls a day, the 5 visits a week, and really make sure you're moving those opportunities along. Single-click access to take a look at any of those opportunities. You do want to see where you are, and more importantly, certain accounts you might want to have a little bit more focus. So flag a couple of key accounts. You got some key account icons you can define, and there's targeted accounts, or perhaps you've got as a sales rep, a delinquent account you may want to follow up, but flag your key accounts and single-click access. And more importantly, as you're working through your sales stages, you can actually build and configure your own sales stages inside of Autotask, and now see at which stage, where's all the money, how do I push it through my funnel and close this deal and win an opportunity. And on next release, actually, I just saw an opportunity analyzer that's going to be built right in Autotask, where you can define each of the stages, and as you're moving through and you have certain pieces of information, it'll build a probability to close that you're going to be able to see in this 360-degree account view, where really at this point the sales rep and even a service manager, an engineer, all information easily accessible, all of the to-dos in place for this account, all the notes and activities all in one spot, the opportunities that you're working, all the contacts. Let's say you're a sales rep, you're trying to upsell your client into a new deal. You can take a quick look at any tickets that are open. You don't want to be blindsided as you're calling into an account that perhaps there's an unresolved incident or some problem that you're working on, or maybe a project is over budget or taking too long. You can now take a view and even collaborate with your engineers on how you can actually reach out for your client and try to set up that new deal anyway. All of those assets that you're managing, as GFI Max is out there discovering the assets, they actually get brought into Autotask Configuration Management Database. And right here you can see all the assets that are being managed by your organization for this account. And in fact, all the warranty dates, key pieces of information, password protected information, all visible inside the configuration item. And if you've got the security clearance, quick financial access, profitability on contracts, accounts, a little more about that. But the beauty here is you always have to look to eliminate the disconnect in your own organization. A lot of stuff happens every day, and if you're using your solution, your system, your PSA, hopefully your Autotask, and you're putting your information in one spot, all that institutional memory is there for you at a moment's notice. Key account info at a glance on the left side, opportunity amounts, how close they are to closing, and on the right you see all of the dialogues, all the conversations and notes all in one spot. And that's really the key to managing your account, moving the disconnect out of your organization and allowing folks to see what's going on with a 360-degree account view. And more importantly, as you're working an account, you want to know if that's a profitable account. And I always hear, people talking about they can, fire an account, you can fire your client. And frankly, I never wanted to fire a client. If they were really bad and tough, I just charged them more money. But bottom line is, sometimes you make a deal that's not profitable, and you still have to execute. And that's the beauty about looking at not only client but contract profitability. If you've sold that managed service contract, that flat fee contract, and you're recording your time against it, and you've built into your contract an opportunity to raise your pricing, you're going to be able to do that and change a bad account into a good account. So you might hear about firing an account, and you may ultimately have to, but always look to understand what's really going on. And perhaps I certainly know in my career that I've worked with an account and go, darn, I didn't charge enough for this. And ultimately I learned from a wise man, double it and then charge it. And typically you're going to come out on top in that arrangement, and you may or may not be able to make that happen. But clearly profitability is the reason you're in business, and being able to check profitability at a quick glance is going to help you run the business better. And inside Autotask, several different billing relationships that our customers have typically with their client built in: incident-based billing, recurring through billing through managed service contracts, time and material, break fix, flat fee, retainer billing, all built into Autotask, and easily see the profitability across all your accounts. All of those projects we talked about, you want to stay on those projects. Again, it all comes down to putting time and expense into your project module here, into your timesheets, whatever, into your service desk ticket, whatever it is. So you do have to have a fantastic process. We had a rule: you had to have your timesheets in by 10 a.m. the next day if you were on the road. If you were at a client site, we really wanted you to have your timesheets in by the time you left that account. We wanted to be totally done. Don't want you to have to go back. But maybe you got to catch a bus, maybe you got to get home. But by 10 o'clock the next day, you're putting your time and expense in, and now you're going to see every day, one click, what's overdue, what's going on with a particular resource, where are they today, what's your workload looking like, what's the status of tasks, and are those timesheets and expenses in up to the minute, so you, in fact, can analyze your profitability. And here you see open issues. Things are happening all the time. Maybe perhaps the electrical outlet wasn't put in the server room. Well, boom, that's going to be an open issue. You've got to resolve it. Here, if you're managing projects as a lead, as the project manager, one-click access to your projects. If you're one of the team members on a project, again, one-click access. Now you get your phases and tasks up, drag and drop, and really one of the nice things is this kind of visibility really gives you the opportunity to not only minimize slippage, but certainly manage this project to profitability right out of the gate. We've got a fantastic upgrade to our project module that's going to be out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have our big user conference that we're probably going to put this release out. So you're going to see a lot of fantastic things, but you have to manage your projects to profitability, and you have to be efficient, because again, this is that second critical stage that leads you to the service desk and the support role that you have. Again, a nice easy dashboard. Take a look at all the different types of tickets. Autotask is a queue-based system. All the tickets that you're opening can either automatically be put into very specific queues. You'll see one queue up there, client access, so through the Autotask client portal, a ticket will automatically go in that queue, and then through our workflow rules, you can move it around, do a lot of things with it. But define your queues, define your priorities, all configurable the way you want to run your business. And of course, we do give you a template that's pre-populated if that's what you want, but more importantly, single-click access to performance data through the dashboard, and recurring tickets. Maybe you're sending an engineer out every Monday to a specific location, or twice a week, or half a day. Take a look at what kind of schedule you have out there for some recurrent service deliverable. I think the real key here is you're seeing dashboards really help you run your managed service business better. You're a service manager, you're the owner, you're an executive. You're going to be able to see information at a glance, and right here again, secure access to all the revenue that's been billed, all the revenue, all the WIP, work in process that you've got to review, approve, and post, easily visible. So now you're getting, again, that clear look at the business, and what better way to manage your business than to have information like this at your fingertips. You might be in the managed service world. You probably got a combination of break fix going on. I always like to say break fix doesn't go away. You're still tracking your time. You're still doing projects. You want to set utilization goals for your resources, and you can do that in Autotask and then see how you're doing against those goals. and more importantly, even again, as you're billing a flat fee managed service contract, please don't stop tracking time against your managed service contract thinking you got it under control. Track your time and expense, call it utilization against the contract, and just make sure you're hitting your targets. Again, single-click access to all this data. Today's schedule, we have an integration with Exchange. We'll never double book an appointment. You're going to see right here where everybody is. Here's we talked about contracts expiring, warranties expired, all the information coming from various pieces of data inside of Autotask. And as you scroll down the screen, you'll see a service desk summary, a CRM summary, and really get a quick look at the business. So that's kind of at the top level. We just tried to share as you're managing your managed service business, you want to have this view end-to-end from sales to service delivery to doing it again year after year, and you need to have the tools in place like an Autotask, like a GFI Max to make it happen. And now let's drill a little bit into how service desk automation, again, gets you over the rest of those hurdles, but really enables scale and increased client satisfaction. And that really starts with our integration with GFI Max. And now, of course, as you can see, a quick and easy setup. But it really is. I've worked pretty closely with the GFI Max team to make it happen. But the key here is all the assets discovered by GFI as you're moving in to win a new account, as you're managing an account, those assets get brought into Autotask, tied to a contract, and now you can manage those assets against the contract, open tickets against those assets, and really understand the cost of service delivery to manage those assets and ultimately tracking time and expense and get those invoices out on the street. Remote access, all the tools in GFI Max available to you. You're in Autotask, you're working a ticket. A single-click access gives you GFI Max remote access capabilities into your account. Don't have to enter in any data, any login information, just right off the ticket. And ultimately, when that alert is discovered by GFI on a server or a workstation, it'll open that alert up in GFI Max and then open up a ticket inside Autotask, and the workflow rules inside Autotask go to work, perhaps letting you know there is a situation, you got to work it, and whatever data you put in the Autotask ticket or into the GFI Max ticket will be synchronized, and you'll have the same data in two places. You close the ticket in Autotask, it removes the alert. So this integration is really beneficial to our joint partners, gives you pretty close to a single pane of glass view into supporting your client base, and you don't have to really flip in and out of two products and logging in left and right. And I guess, Scott, any thoughts or questions out there while I move to this next slide?
Yeah, that was kind of Daniel was asking about the kind of that newsletter thing. I mean, is that something that'll go out to, if you want to send a newsletter, would that go out to all the customers in the customer base, or just customers, that have had problems, or what's the granularity on that?
Sure. Well, the nice thing is, as a CRM, you've got all your different categories of clients and prospects and leads and various pieces of data, zip code, territory, and you can filter who you want to receive a particular communication. So, it's really up to you to decide who you want to get that, who you want to send that communication out to. Maybe the newsletter goes out to your client base is different than a newsletter that goes out to your prospect base, for example. So any way you'd like to filter your CRM is how you can do it.
Okay, and then just another broad kind of overview question. Chris was asking about a couple different things, or basically kind of the same questions. He was wondering, is Autotask, is it just cloud-based? Is there a way to set it up on-premise, or what's the deployment there?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably going to answer that a little later, but since you asked that, I mean, Autotask is SaaS. We are cloud-based 100%. We did have an on-prem version, but, much like we teach our clients, our customers, you got to be true to who you are and deliver what you can deliver, and what you deliver is who you are. And right now, Autotask is a cloud-based software application, IT business management from the cloud. We've been doing it since 2001, and we know we have to be there. We're 4 nines uptime over the trailing 2 years, so We are in the cloud, no on-prem, and it's really been great for us. We actually did have an on-prem version that we discontinued. I believe it's about a year and a half ago now, and it's really been a great move for us to give us the focus, opportunity to focus. So let's jump in here now. We've talked about our integration with GFI. So as you see, event management, and again, a couple of these terms here, I don't know how many of you out there, I've talked about it quite a bit, and I've been on GFI webinars a bit, but ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library, ITIL Best Practice Framework, built right inside of Autotask. Some of the key processes really are enabled inside of Autotask. So event management, all about getting that alert out of GFI, perhaps a server's desktop. That alert will automatically open a ticket in Autotask. No intervention, no manual intervention. Autotask Client Portal, the end user can open a ticket. In fact, there's a service request drop-down. You can define very specific service request types and pre-populate a ticket for your client through the portal. And when it comes into your Autotask, boom, automatically open up a ticket, and we'll talk about some of the automation after that. Autotask has an email parser, so if you can't train your client to use the portal and they just love to use email, you can have tickets opened automatically that way. And, of course, the old-fashioned user phone call to your service desk, automatically opening up a ticket in Autotask. And actually the user call, in as little as 2 clicks, you're opening a ticket. You triage that ticket. Is it an incident? Now you can work that incident to perfection, resolve that incident, get the asset up and running, the user up and running the way you promised. Maybe that incident's happened 2, 3, 4 times. Again, you'll be able to see that in Autotask, and now that's a problem. And you can go into the problem management mode defined by the ITIL Best Practice Framework, and ultimately change management. How do you get that motherboard out of the server that is the root cause of the problem? And now there's change management coming out in Autotask again in our next release, and you're going to be able to actually get some approvals and really make sure people are aware of what you're about to do to an environment, and keep it up and running with everybody knowing what's going on. And of course, once that ticket's created, a lot of automation built inside of Autotask. Again, it is about managing your managed service business. Scaling and optimizing is the way to do that. And right here, a lot of automation built in. Automatically assign the ticket to the engineer that works on that account. Automatically notify the user you received the request. Maybe the person watching over you at the account needs to know before you do anything. The key is a lot of automation makes work happen, and you don't have to do it. All those notifications, assignments going out. And more importantly, as you move into the managed service world, I'm sure many of you, and I don't know if Scott has a question or a polling question, but I'm sure most of you are out there either perhaps still in a break-fix mode, and if somebody calls you or a problem comes in, you want to work on it right now. But I always like to say, promise them a 2-hour response window, finish what you're doing now, and then go help that client. And more importantly, bang out those reports, show them during your monthly operational reviews that you're meeting that promised response window. And if 2 hours is too big a window, well, then charge them a little bit more money for a 1-hour response or for immediate response, and use that to your advantage to charge more money for your services, as opposed to that break-fix model where you have to answer everyone right now because they don't know that you're going to help them in 2 hours. They just do what they do. You've probably been helping them, as soon as they call forever. I think you can put a premium on that. And now as you work that ticket, you work that incident, you complete that service, now you can automatically send out a survey built right into Autotask, get that immediate feedback, because one of the keys to keeping that client for life is finding out who those festering clients are right out of the gate. Don't let anyone fester. Understand if you did the right thing, and then react immediately. And then, of course, you're collecting time and expense. You have to do that on your tickets. Again, whether you're flat fee billing or whatever billing arrangement you have, collect your time and expense and either create that invoice in Autotask or hand that data off into your accounting system. Just like integration into GFI Max, we're integrated into QuickBooks, Great Plains, a bunch of accounting systems around the globe, localized in Australia, the UK, wherever you might be on the globe. Autotask will have an integration to your accounting system or we can create it using our web service API, working with your vendor, and ultimately taking a look at profitability. Really easy to do that with all the data, all your institutional memory in one spot. So just like earlier, let's take a deeper look at service desk automation. And the key, again, you're out there with GFI Max as your solution. Define your services. And here, since we specifically talked service desk, I just wanted to share how perhaps you might want to define a service desk offering. And here we'll create a SKU, just like your server has a SKU. Make sure you SKU up your services, and you know how long it takes to deliver a service. And your client should see this service somewhere, whether it's on a handout, whether it's on your website, and then ultimately bundle services under that SKU so that you can, in fact, deliver more but have the client see less. You don't want them to see 6 or 7 services if you can define an umbrella service like the service desk, and that nice, easy bundle includes the client portal you can drop out. Let them know you're going to take that level 1 remote call, and if you got to escalate it, you will to remote control. But hey, maybe that on-site service is covered under time and material. It's not covered under your flat fee billing, and that'll go under a different SKU called on-site service. So again, define your service, define your bundles, put them in a nice, easy-to-read service catalog. Autotask gives you that opportunity. You can define monthly, quarterly, or yearly billing for those managed services, put in the cost and selling price, and again, as you quote these services and tie them to a contract, now you record your time on that contract, you're going to see if you're generating profit or not, or if it's costing you money to service that account. So make sure you can define your catalog of recurrent services or any service, and then track your time against that contract and understand profitability. But in terms of the service desk, I mentioned ITIL already, best practice framework. These are 3 key response times or 3 key metrics for your SLA. And as I mentioned earlier, an opportunity for you to charge more for your service. So if you're going to promise a 2-hour response window, but they want a 1 hour, and now you have an opportunity to charge a little bit more. And if they say 4 hours, hey, you can charge them less, but again, that's your call. Key is promise them that response time. It puts a little teeth into your SLA, into your managed service contract, and then be able to show them that you hit it. Now, there's resolution plan as a second metric, and pretty much, let's just say that server goes down, you responded within 2 hours, but now you've got to understand what that problem is or what that incident is all about. Why is that server not operating? So your client is going to ask you over and over, how long is it going to be? How long is it going to be? And typically, an engineer might respond, we'll be done in an hour. And 4 hours later, you're still there trying to figure it out. So come up with a resolution plan time frame and say, look, when there is a problem, within 3 hours, we'll have a plan of attack. And again, it gives you that window of time to figure what's going on and to let your client know with a very educated window of time so that you don't say 1 hour and 4 hours later you just don't look like you understand your business. So promise a resolution plan, and then resolution time, a key metric that I probably wouldn't promise, because how do you know how long it's going to take? Let's say a server's down, you've monitored that server, it's down, you determine it's a motherboard, maybe it's under warranty with your server vendor. How long is that truck roll going to take? They promised you a 4-hour window, so you know you got at least 4 hours to resolve that. Then how long to replace it, reboot it, maybe restore some data. So resolution time, you might not want to promise it, but inside of Autotask, you can set any of these metrics. And as you're moving from break-fix to managed services, you don't have to promise anything, but track it internally, see how you do against your response resolution and resolution times, and now you can then go out and build that service and build a net response window into the service. So have a little transition plan. Practice internally, see what you've done in the past over time, and then bust out your managed service offering. But the key is have those key metrics that you can track to and use automation like Autotask and GFI Max together to understand when you need to actually react and what your time frame is, and let the system tell you when to react, not that screaming break-fix client. On top of the metrics, you really want to make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. So the nice thing about Autotask, when you run that quote and you build your quote and you win that managed service contract, you can define the services that are covered and the services that are not. And this is where nothing falls through the cracks. When you go try to put time against a ticket and you pop up a service that's not covered, it's going to let you know that pretty quickly. And I'll give you a quick look, because now that you've got your metrics defined, you've got your contract defined, you can now go and create those tickets. Again, that CRM data seamlessly passed off to the ticket. Now grab that ticket information. A lot of it would be pre-populated based on how that ticket came in, based on that workflow diagram I shared with you earlier. Even when a user calls in and you're typing information, Autotask has a concept of ticket favorites that you can, again, drop down, for example, a server issue, but have some of the data with a question mark, such as connectivity, as performance is, and then this way you know what pieces of information you want to capture by checking out that question mark. Here you see all the key information: issue, sub-issue type, estimate hours to complete, the SLA that's covered. You can assign multiple resources to a ticket, maybe a level 1 and a level 3, depending on the type of work. But bottom line, a lot of places to capture the data that's going to allow automation to help you drive priority, and not your client in that break-fix model, the squeaky wheel saying, help me, help me. Because look, I got a 2-hour response window. I've got to finish what I'm doing now and go help you. I mean, that's your call, of course, whether you want to help right now. But the key is automation is going to drive your priority, not the squeaky wheel. And now that you've got the ticket created, you understand the situation in your SLA, wouldn't it be nice to take a look at who's available and make sure that you're balancing your workload and maximizing utilization across your resources so that you can complete more work and reduce overtime? There's nothing like having somebody doing all the work, that perhaps that Ned Noonan with all that red, but then you got a lot of green and a lot of yellow. You might as well put that work across your resource and really look to minimize burnout across your team. And a nice, easy way to look with a real-time workload utilization, which then gives you that opportunity to drag and drop those tickets to the open resource. And again, with that Exchange integration I mentioned earlier, you're not going to double book appointments. Exchange appointments will show up here in the Autotask calendar and vice versa. So you're going to know who's available and make sure that people are maxed out in terms of their utilization to the best of their ability to execute. And if they're at a particular client site on a particular day, you're going to be able to see that and drag multiple tickets over into that particular resource's calendar. And now when they go on site, they can wrap up a bunch of tickets. And even if they're out on site and somebody bothers them, maybe they're walking in to solve that incident that they're sent there for, and someone comes over and says, hey, I need help, they can direct them. If you have your incident management process defined, teach them to direct that person, either use the client portal or to phone call into the service desk, an email, and open a ticket back at the home office that is then not only opened up in Autotask, but can be drag and dropped into their calendar by the service manager if you have those different resources or if you're the same person. The key is have them open a ticket and put that ticket to the resource that can execute, and ultimately you know where everybody is and you can max out the utilization. And that's really keys to managing not only your managed service business but your break-fix business and whatever real kind of service delivery model you're running. And here is where you now can enter time on a ticket, and if you're trying to put time against the wrong service, it's going to pop up a message and kind of let you know that that service isn't covered under this contract. And that simple time entry screen is opened up for tickets or project tasks and ultimately validates the service you delivered is covered. But you still get that opportunity during the review and post-process to really make sure that time is billable or not against whatever the contract the time was put on, and ultimately get the invoices out on the street a little bit quicker than the past. And now that you got those invoices out, one of the key things about being in managed services, you have to prove that you did what you said, especially against your SLAs. And what better way to do it than with a report that is automatically generated as you're opening and closing tickets and responding and putting your first time entry in, that in fact those green check marks show you met your first response, and that's really the #1 way to communicate your value to your clients. Show them you did what you said you were going to do and that you're going to do it again, and that is going to come out in your monthly operational reviews, those more meetings we talked about, where you're going to share not only reports like this, I got a couple others that I'll share with you, but certainly a lot of opportunity to show that you're doing what you say you're going to do and that you're doing it well. And that leads to those quarterly reviews where now there's trust in you, not only on the operational side, but they're sharing some of those business needs and what's going on in the business, a new office, a new location, a new need for that matter, and that really is at the quarterly business review, whereas maybe operationally you're talking, very tactical what kind of work has been executed. But bottom line, have those reports, have the data available, whether it's client-facing or internal reports for you to look at. You really want to show that you did the work you said, and more importantly, internally, are you doing what you know you can do and what's going on inside the business as well. But ultimately communicate the value you're providing through your reports, through your regular scheduled meetings, and perhaps even using the group email capability to kind of shoot out some company updates so your clients know exactly what's going on inside your organization. So easy client-facing reports, and then I always like to call this what is it, the piece that is just done, so whatever it might be, Scotty, but you've just worked your butt off, you delivered service. How did you do? How did that contact feel about you? And automatically send out a survey from Autotask as you complete a ticket, and not only will you get that customer to fill out that survey, but a rating will be built over time for all of the surveys they filled out, no matter who filled it out across the company, and it'll flow through to the engineer or the billable resource who delivered the service and ultimately roll up to the account level. So on multiple levels, you need to understand, does your client believe in you? Are they trusting you? Are you delivering the service you promised? No festering clients means you're going to nip things in the bud. And again, through the workflow rules in Autotask, if a survey comes back with a 4 or less, for example, you can have a notification sent out to the manager or the owner, and they will pick up that phone and call that client immediately and talk about response time. That client will really appreciate you following up, and now you have a mechanism in place through a survey tool that's going to get you where you need to go. And more importantly, it's good to know how you're doing with your client, but imagine if you knew how you were doing against the industry as a whole. And with Autotask being a cloud-based application, multi-tenant, we're able to take your survey. We've built 2 surveys into Autotask, an on-site service call and a remote service delivery call. And what you can do is not only get your rating on that ticket, but once you take that survey and use it, you've opted into benchmarking, and now you're going to see how your rating fared against the Autotask service delivery network. And whoever's opted in, now you can see not only how you're doing against the average, but what is that average? Maybe you're best in class. Now you've got a selling tool. You can let folks know you are best in class. Maybe you're not best in class, but you're close, or maybe you need to improve. And again, all tools to help you manage your managed service better and really improve internally and externally. And again, look to keep that client for life. And that's the goal, because you don't want to have to always pick up new clients. Well, although you're going to pick up new clients, you have to. But the beauty of managed services is once you pick up a client and you keep them for life, and you bolt on your managed services to your solutions, by the end of a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're really building a step ladder to profitability as every new client adds more managed service into the mix after you execute the project. And that's really the key as you keep your clients for life. Any questions out there, Scott, before I kind of get to a wrap-up here?
Yeah, we had a few. I don't want to disturb your wrap-up that you might be going into there, Len. A couple things. While you were back on the calendar thing, John and Niles were asking about integration with Exchange, Google Apps, or Office 365.
Yeah, well, definitely Office 365, and definitely Exchange, not a problem at all. And I believe we just had a third-party vendor put together an integration with Google Apps. You can hit our website and check that out, or shoot me an email, and I'll have somebody definitely reach out to you. So I guess I've got a couple minutes, then we'll take some questions, I guess, Scott. So why
Okay,
Autotask? All right, I've kind of shared a little bit, guys, so really to wrap up, we talked about cloud-based. Autotask is the #1 provider of cloud-based IT business management software, doing it since 2001, totally focused on service automation, as you just saw, a lot of seamless transition or seamless data transfer across the modules built into Autotask, the integration with GFI, replacing multiple applications with one integrated solution, no longer separate CRM, project, service desk. And as we know, we're not alone. As you can see with our integration with GFI and our integration across applications, we're giving you an opportunity to collaborate better with those around you through ticket sharing, where you can work collaboratively with another Autotask user and trade tickets and share and see updates, the client portal to collaborate with your clients. We've got TaskFire for internal IT folks, so if you're working with a larger account, maybe they need a ticketing system, you can drop in TaskFire, gives them that ticketing system, but it's tethered to your Autotask, giving you complete visibility into what's going on into that larger account. A universal outsourcing module, you can sub out a ticket, they'll grab a subcontractor portal, you can negotiate rates, put in time and expense, send the bill out to your client, and know what you have to pay your sub. Built-in online community, over 50,000 Autotask users collaborating every day, and of course those integrations across applications. Autotask is growing. Actually, I can update that number. It's about 275 employees now across our offices up here in East Greenbush, just outside of Albany, New York, Richmond over in London, England, Sydney, Beijing, and Munich, Germany. Customers in over 70 countries, multiple data centers, and we're translated across the languages that you see in case you're listening in English but wish you had Autotask in your local language. And lots of education through Autotask Academy, helping you move from break-fix to managed services, help you manage your managed service business, not only product training but business building side. And of course, world-class 24/7 support. Autotask is open, browser independent. Anyone in your organization can use any browser. You don't just want your billable resources using Autotask. You want your admin. You want all the folks and all that institutional memories all in one spot. We're open in the middle. You guys can use an iPad, an Android device, a laptop. Doesn't matter. No fat client needed with Autotask. Our competitors are either on-prem with a fat client or they're in the cloud with a fat client. 100% accessible. Autotask is through a browser, no fat client, work wherever you want. And you see all the key modules of Autotask CRM contracts, all with the ability to integrate via a web service API to all the solutions you're using out there, including GFI over on the left, perhaps using a quoting tool if you're in Australia, perhaps IT Quoter, QuoteWorks, IBIZ 10, Quozal, each of those products that you're using integrated, and of course the Outlook and Exchange. And a quick look, if you've got one tech out there at $100 an hour being 50% utilized, that's 80 hours across 4 techs, or perhaps $32,000 a month in break-fix revenue or managed service revenue, whatever it may be. The typical Autotask customer reports a 15% or more gain in billable hours and billable time and billable revenue. And if you just do the math, at 12 hours per tech at $100 an hour, that's an additional $1,200 a month for a tech. Nothing's falling through the crack. You're collecting time against all your services and billing it right. So for 4 resources over 1 year, you could see over $50,000 more revenue. And Autotask, a 5-user Autotask at $85 a seat per month at $425 a month, $5,100 a year, over 10 times in found revenue, 10 times ROI in found revenue alone. And again, based on average results according to a customer survey. So let's review. If you knew your mission-critical data was all in one place, your sales and service teams were on the same page, your service issues really had a hard time falling through any cracks, you had your hand on the pulse, your fingers on the pulse of all of your projects, and all time for services rendered or captured, you're not putting services that are not covered under a flat fee agreement under that agreement and losing that revenue. You're putting it under the right contract. Your workload across resources are balanced. You're meeting and exceeding your SLA response time. Billing is simple and quick. You're profitable across all your clients and contracts, or not, of course, and able to react. And now your clients appreciate your value. You can evolve your business, make those fact-based decisions that get you over the hurdles and really take you to that next level. And if you want to get there with Autotask and GFI, special offer, you can send an email to sales@autotask.com. We've got a $1,000 voucher, good for up to 50% of services up to $1,000. And, of course, working your rep. Let them know you came to this webinar today, or send that email to sales@autotask.com in the subject line GFI 052313, $1,000 voucher for Pro. Here's a couple ways you can contact Autotask around the globe. Simplest way, again, always go to autotask.com. We've got a website in multiple languages as well. Or again, an email to sales@autotask.com, or email me at DiCostanzo@autotask.com. Follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you may have, as I'd love to shoot out information all the time. So IT business management with Autotask, manager managed services, know more, do more, grow more. There you see some contact info. Hopefully a lot of GFI customers out there are going to join us at our Worldwide User Conference June 2nd to the 4th in Scottsdale. If you're not, let me know if you want to go. I'll help you get there. And, of course, Autotask will be front and center at all those GFI partner conferences coming up around the globe. Look forward to seeing you. Scott, thanks for having me here. And looks like we have a minute for questions.
Okay, well, good timing, Len. Just real quick ones here, because you actually kind of addressed most of the ones that people were getting. We did have a couple questions about encrypted traffic on the Autotask end. Yeah, they were just saying, Chris was saying he wants, the cloud is fine, but he wants to know more about the security mechanisms that secure data.
So no doubt we've got secure data transfer, and I would say the best way you're going to get detail is to engage here with one of our reps, and we can go as deep as you want into it, but clearly we understand the world we're in, and no doubt tons of security built into the product, not only data going back and forth, but the data centers that we house and build and man ourselves to actually the application and given rights to access certain pieces of data. So a lot of security built into Autotask. Just kind of come on in and we'll get a little deeper dive for you.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, Len's really good about answering emails, so drop him a line if you've got any questions that we didn't get to. I want to thank Len for being here today. As I said, we are recording this webinar. It'll be up probably Monday or Tuesday. You'll get an email from the GoToMeeting with the exact URL, but it'll be on the website, mspbusinessmanagement.com. I sent that around. Any parting thoughts, Len? I want to thank you again for coming out.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the opportunity to get out there, and I know how difficult it is to work hard every day and manage the business, but I always just try to congratulate folks for taking the time out of the day to learn and work on their business and not in it, and I just always implore people to keep on doing that, because that's how you're going to take that next step.
Okay, excellent. Well, I've sent around a link of some of our other upcoming webinars, and hopefully we'll have Len and the gang back on in the fall sometime. And, of course, you can see us at the GFI Max Conference, which will be in September in Las Vegas, the United States, and in London over in the UK. Len, thanks a lot.
Yep, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, thanks again, everybody, and thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to you again soon. See ya.
See ya.